Yep, go ahead.
Okay, starting. Hi, Michael. We're Team London here. We're Ankita, Ariza, Isha, Pavitra, and Shruti, myself here. And for the field interview assignment, we interviewed Jason Dog. Jason is a marketing veteran who is the Director of Strategy and Advertising at Junction 59. He recently moved to the academic side and is also the head coach of Creative Advertising Program at Seneca. Few of his notable clients are SPC Student Prize Card, Tourstar, the Agency of University of Toronto, Junction 59, and so on.
Hi, I'm Ankita. Our first question to Jason was, can you explain the creative process and strategy that you and your team went ahead with for any of your recent clients?
Okay, it starts with the brief. Okay, it always starts with the client brief to you, and the client sets out, this is my this is my issue, this is what I'm trying to achieve, these are my insights, here's our target, and they usually have, and the clients usually have a templated brief that they give to me. Okay, then what happens is the strategy team takes that and briefs back the client, because the client will give you certain things, but you might like, there might be more to it or something like that. So you have to go in and spend some time, and then you brief it back to them. You come up with your own creative brief. It goes back to the client. And it's like, yeah, signs off, or no, and they have the discussion. Then once you and the client are agreed on that brief, you go to the creative team. And now you brief the creative team. Here's the brief. Okay. Now creative team takes that. And now here's where it diverges. It really depends on what it happens to be. How big is this campaign? If this is a small banner ad campaign, at that point, creative might just take it and start doing it. Or if it's a slightly bigger campaign, then creative will then go out and do some ideation. Sometimes they involve strategy. Sometimes they don't. Depends. I usually get invited to them because apparently I'm good at ideation. But it's not all right. and good strategists should be involved, should be good at, or should at least be involved or be the fly in the wall, see how it happens. Now, how does the ideation happen? Everyone's a little bit different. Creative comes out with an idea, and then ideally they come back to strategy like, okay, we're thinking this, this, and this. And then maybe strategy goes on to validate, to come up with some more research or to go down a rabbit hole, or strategy said, well, did you think about this direction? Or did you think about going in this direction? And they go back, and there's a back and forth, and it keeps getting refined until you've got something that you're happy with. And then you present that to the client. And then the client's going to jump back with idea, right? Client gives you feedback, and sometimes it's back to the drawing board. In which you'll have to go to some ice cream. But advertising is all about rejection. If you look at the master, right, it's a rejection business. Or it's, no, we love it, but we need you to fine tune it. And then you go through the fine tuning part of it. And that's just getting the idea in motion.
So as he mentioned, the process begins with a brief from the client to the strategy team. The strategy team then briefs the creative team and communicates the campaign objectives. This is when the creative team gets in motion and starts brainstorming the idea for the campaign. This idea, after refining, is presented to the client. The client comes back with a feedback about the idea, and then changes are made if any required. The idea is implemented after the final approval from the client. The campaign objectives should be clear to avoid any ad spends and time and efforts getting wasted. While brainstorming and defining the idea, the agency team should be sure that it is implementable and deliverables are clear. The final idea, though, is presented to the whole client team, should convince the policymaker in the client's team as he or she is going to give an approval on it.
So the next question that we asked him was that what all are the challenges that he experienced or faced on the field of an ongoing campaign for the client?
Well, at that point, it becomes optimization. And the challenges happen is what happens if the campaign isn't going right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? And so there's a mad scramble to optimize, right? That's when then you're just like in war. Like, okay, what can we do now? What if we try this? What if we do this? What if we do this? And a lot of times it's just test, you test and learn, and sometimes you're just lucky, sometimes you're not. Most of the, for the most part, most campaigns will do reasonably well because you put enough money behind it and you've got the right media and you always find this way that you're going to do. The challenge really is great. Once I had, it was great. We had a great optimization. So we had a campaign going. It was a bit of involved the consumer to sign up. And I noticed in the analytics, I'm like, we're losing them here. Step 4. This is throwing them off. What if we rearrange it? So we rearranged the form, and sign up started going up.
So, like he said, that one of the major challenges faced during an ongoing campaign is optimization. It's basically all about giving your potential customer a consistent brand experience from the moment they view the hero image on the display ad to the moment they land on the landing page. So, basically, it's just consistently solving and coming up with creative solutions for problems. If the campaign isn't going right, then asking yourself that basically what went wrong and then using the trial and testing method to achieve the desired results. And then he also said that most campaigns will usually do good because it has like money and the use of right media invested behind it. So the tone of the voice, colors, logo, and other creative visual signals you employ should all be consistent throughout the trip. Making them feel at ease is a sure free strategy to keep them on the path of conversion.
The third question that we asked was, has there been a situation where you've dealt with a very difficult client asking for multiple corrections and changes? How was that experience been and how did you handle that?
We came up with an idea that I thought was just a killer idea. It was on brand. It was so right. It was clever. It was creative. Client just like, no, not gonna do it. No, it's just off. I hate when they basically, it's off brand, it's wrong, never gonna do it. And the funny thing is I would show them, and this particular client, interestingly enough, used to do real, like maybe like 10, 15 years prior, used to do that kind of edgier creative work and somehow went away from it. And I was like, but guys, it's not off. You guys are used to do this. This is totally what, no, never gonna do. And what I found out later was it's all because of the hierarchy inside the client. And it was like, no, this person doesn't like it. Therefore, this person falls in line, this person falls in line, this person falls in line. So the frustrating thing is, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that what happens is one person, like someone high up says something, and then everyone else just falls in line like dominoes.
So we noticed that negotiation is one of the important aspects to pitch in when you're talking to your client. Communication back and forth for the purpose of making a joint decision is what negotiation means. There are different types of negotiation tactics used on a client, which basically are appeal to authority, low ball, high ball, nibbling, puppy dog, stonewalling. What was brought to the attention during this answer was negotiation is an important part of how to communicate with a difficult client. Also, when he mentioned that they just had one idea and that only one idea was struck down by hierarchical power, it made us realize that you need to always have better or best alternatives. You need to always give the client options. And before giving the options, you need to also evaluate those alternatives for the client. You need to also understand their bhatna and make your own good bhatna. Bhatna basically means the best alternative to the negotiated assessment, I think. Negotiated agreement, sorry. One should also limit your authority. They did not negotiate directly with the decision makers. So by limiting the authority, they should have gone directly to the head and discussed their needs before saying anything or pitching.
Okay, so here we'll talk about how we would have handled this if we were the agency. So in our interview, we understood from Jason that he lost the client due to the hierarchical structure. So we wanted to incorporate the four important parts where we thought could help with holding on to the client. So the first thing is back and forth meetings. We would have done back and forth meetings to uncover motivational factors and see what suits best for both of us. And the second one is figuring out the hierarchical structure. So based on the hierarchical structure, uh, we could carefully structure what our next steps are. The third one is listening to the client's needs. And lastly, the most important part is asking questions. We would probably ask appropriate probing questions. So in the next slide, using that one particular thing that talks about probing questions, we came up with a hierarchy frame analysis. So here it's all about the role of the client, the agency's flow, and the questions we would ask. So let's start from PM to VP. So if it's the project manager, it's all about availability and reachability and being responsive. The question that we would ask is, can a win be accessed? And if so, what are the tools to evaluate the campaign? The next one is accuracy. So we would give accurate and trustworthy data, as well as give them a thorough understanding of the data and technology. So here the question would be about, is the campaign idea winning? And if so, how is the client performing? The third part would be about understanding if it's the manager. So here we would reflect on what the stakeholders are expressing, both verbally and in their actions. So the questions here would be, how is the campaign going to bring the company a win? And if the company and as an agency, are we winning? And if it's a director, it's all about insight and educate the organization, something with that will cause them to alter their minds about something. So the question here would be, how often can we repeat this particular win, and what are the measures the client can take to keep that win happening? And finally, if it's the VP, which is like the policy maker that Ankita explained, it would be about ideas. Try gazing at the larger picture, and the question would be, what extra will the campaign bring to the client as a profit? So that's the hierarchy frame analysis, and that's Team London. Thank you so much.